This episode of McCalls Quilting Quilt-Along is brought to you by Meadow, producer of quilting fabric and home of the fabric precants.
Hi, I'm Jan with Jan Patty Quilts, and we're doing a McCalls Quilt-Along. This is the quilt I designed over the meadow and through the year, and we're moving through the year. We're on the houses blocks, primarily the one in the top row at the moment. Okay, we've learned how to do the freezer paper, and if you need a refresher on that, go back and watch that one. We've cut out our freezer paper patterns, and we're going to do this a little differently because what we're going to do is we're going to piece the house together before we applique it to the background. Now, since we're piecing it, that means our seams have to be precise. So you will iron this to your fabric. Once again, you've traced it matte side up, shiny side down, and the shiny side has been ironed to the fabric, leaving enough room so that you can cut around it a 1/4 inch. And now you will go to your green mat and your rulers and rotary cutter, or you can just draw lines and use your scissors if you want to, but you will measure a 1/4 inch and then cut along here and cut these out precisely at a 1/4 inch all the way around. Because we're going to piece this house together, and we're going to piece, and excuse me, I'm going to back up a little here. Make sure when you do your roof piece, when you iron it on, that you draw an arrow so you know which way's up, because otherwise, if it goes in wrong, it won't work right. Okay, so we know that's right, and it's going to piece into here. Now you're going to piece it together. You can either do it by hand or you can do it on the machine. I'm trying to remember. I did this by hand, and if you're going to do that, it's one way to do it. It's the way I did it, but you can easily, obviously, do it on the machine. Okay, now, one of the harder things, everybody thinks circles and curves and all that stuff are hard to do, and they are, but it's also very hard to do straight lines. Challenging. Excuse me, Jenny. Getting this evenly turned under all the way, if you're just turning it under with your needle turn, is a little, well, it's a lot challenging. We've already sewed down our grass and our background, and we're going to have to then applique our house that we've pieced together onto the background. Okay, if we tried to do this without sewing it together first, when we put it in the quilting frame and pulled, you'd never get them butted up next to each other precisely. I've tried, it doesn't work. After it's quilted, you'd leave a little line. You'd have a little line of the background showing in between each one, and you don't want that. Okay, so we've sewed them together, and now basically we've basted the entire house under a 1/4 inch, and this doesn't have to be exactly precise, but if you've drawn on it with your freezer paper, you'll have the line to turn it under, and of course we did. Okay, now we've got to get windows and doors on, and that can be pretty challenging too, to get them straight and to get them precise. Now, I don't mind wonky windows. I kind of like wonky windows, which means they're not exactly precise, but I have some people that do quilts that really want very precise, straight windows. So I found a way to take care of them. Cut out trace your windows onto freezer paper, just like you do everything else, and your door and your chimney. And I always label my chimney because it's a little bit bigger. Not as big as the door, but bigger than the windows. And then cut all of these out precisely. Okay, then after you've done that, take your freezer paper pattern and iron it to the back. Okay, like that. Now, where is my glue pen? This is a glue pen. We're not using the glue in the bottle. This is a glue pen. What I like about, you could just buy a glue stick if you want to, but what I like about these is this is about 1/4 of an inch. And we all know that's what we use a lot. Okay, this was cut a little bigger than 1/4 of an inch. Okay, now we have here a little teeny clover iron, which I really, really, really like. Take your paper you've ironed on and turn it over, okay? And try to get it kind of in the middle. Okay, now fold it over. Come on, behave yourself. And iron it down. And what you're doing now is you're ironing this on, woo, that's hot, to the freezer paper side, okay? All right, now, usually around here, I use a piece of paper because we're going to glue. We're going to take this and we're going to glue this here, and then we're going to iron it under. Okay. And then we will glue that down. Ah, I did that on the wrong side. Oh well. It's gonna, you know what, I'm not gonna do that because there, I got enough of it off. Otherwise it would have gotten glue all over the iron. There. Okay, so now you have a real precise little window to do. You'll do the same thing with the door. You won't do it with the chimney. On the chimney, what you will do is you will just iron it down on 2 sides and then leave the bottom open, because what we're going to do when we sew this down is we're going to stick this under. And we don't want it glued under, or once again, we'd be back to having to butt it up exactly. So we're going to do that, and I'm pretty sure it goes in the middle. Let me look. Yes, it does. And then if I had dark thread here, I would just go ahead and sew it on to the chimney or to the roof. But I don't have dark thread, so I'm not going to bother to thread a needle. I'll just baste this down so I know where it goes. Okay. We'll just baste that under so that we know where the chimney goes. Now, keep covering everything up. Yesterday I made the bed. I was in a hurry to get out and get up here and start working and all that stuff, and I couldn't find my phone. I made it into the bed. Luckily you can call the phone. The other thing I lose all the time are my glasses, because I have to keep, if I need to look at the phone, I have to take my glasses off. If I need to sew something up close, I need to take my glasses off. I find my glasses all over the house. Okay, now, I mean, look at that. Okay, we're going to need 3 up here. And we would put 2 down there. And I won't worry about doing that right now. But to line them up, let's take our handy dandy ruler, a little one, and make sure you've got this lined here like this. All right. Then that'll go like that. And then you take this glue again and dot it on so that they're exactly glued in spot. And then you sew them on. Well, yes, I was sure I had done that last time. Yeah. Okay. Now, the trick with the houses, once again, is cutting them out with a rotary cutter instead of just eyeballing a 1/4 inch, and then sewing them together just like you were piecing any block with the precise 1/4 inch seams. Then when you do the windows, you iron it to the front and cut it out, but then you flip it over to use your little iron, and you cut this out probably 3/8 of an inch instead of a 1/4 of an inch, and iron your seams down. You do that for the door, you do that for all the windows. You do not do it for this chimney. You leave the bottom part open so you can stick it under there when you iron it. You iron all of these on, and you iron on the star, which we will show you in a few lessons. And you will have your house block. Okay, so now we've learned to put a house together so we can applique it onto the background. We've got the grass on the block. We're going to do 4 different house blocks, and the patterns are exactly the same. If you're going to make them all at once, you need to remember that 2 of them are reversed, and we will cover doing reverse patterns when we get to the whales block. So we're moving right along through the year. Hope to see you next time when we do an urn and stems and leaves.